Hello and welcome to today's tutorial on Python. So today we are going to make a very simple yet powerful password generator. So let's see how we are going to make it and what we are going to make by the end of this tutorial. So here is our program. So let me start and run this program. Now we have a message like welcome to the pass generator. How many small case letters would you like? Let's say 3. How many capital letters or uppercase letters? Let's say 4. How many numbers? 2. And how many symbols? 5. Now here is your password. Look at that. So capital symbols, then small case symbols, again numbers. So this is a beautiful program and useful program, right? So we are going to work on for loops. It's going to teach us a lot, and also how to work with lists in Python. So this is a beginner tutorial. It's not meant for intermediate or advanced people. So it's just for beginners. Now let's get to it. Okay, as always, make a REPL account on replit.com. Then just click on New REPL, and then you choose Python. And you can also choose a name for it and create REPL. So this is the environment that we get. Now, just for convenience, and I have included this list of letters, like small case letters, uppercase letters, numbers, and some symbols. I didn't want to just type them out. Yeah. Okay, so what we need now is, on top, we need to import the random library, because we are going to generate some random numbers for our password generator. So we need to import random library so that we use the random function in Python. Now we also need to maybe print out some welcome text, like welcome to password generator. Welcome to password generator. Now, what else do we need? So we need to grab users' information. That is, if I ask them, hey, how many small case letters would you like? They say 3 or 4, whatever. So we need to grab that number and store it in a variable so that we use it later, right? So we are going to use let's say n for number, s letters, and yes, letters, and then this comes from the user, so it is an input. Say how many small case letters, and then a space. Okay, so whatever the user tells us is going to be stored in this variable. So if the user says I want 3 small case letters, we say okay, we should go through these and pick 3 randomly, right? Now we also store actually this information in the form of an integer or a number, because we are going to use that later to say, hey, I want 3 of this or 3 of that. And what we get from input is a string. So Python returns a string. So it's not just like a number in an integer format. That's why we need to convert this, whatever we get, to an integer. So I would simply wrap everything around like this in an integer. So now whatever we get, if it's 2 or 3 or whatever, it's not saved, it's not stored as a string like this. It would be stored as an integer in number, so we can use it much better later. Okay, and then we can also do the same for capital letters, numbers, and symbols. I'm going to just paste them here. I don't want to repeat myself, so it's the same. So we have an input from the user, like how many capital letters, whatever they type in is going to be stored in this variable, and it should be turned also into an integer beforehand. And then the same for numbers. How many numbers do you want? How many symbols do you want? Okay, now that we have this information from the user, what shall we do with it? So this is how it works. So imagine that the user says, hey, I want 2 small case letters. So I should go through this list, small case letters, and then pick two randomly. But how do I pick a random item from a list? So we use this function by Python, random.choice, and then we put in the name of the list. In this case, it's S letters. So this returns one character, so one item. So let's just say SL for a small letter, and let's just print it out. Well, actually, let's just print out everything here. So let's just print out whatever is returned. So let's print out this random choice. And I also don't need to ask the questions yet, actually. So I just comment them out. Now I want to pick a random choice here. So if I just run the program, see, we have a G. Again, we have a V. So it picks only one random item from this list. But we want two random items, or three, depends on how many letters the user wants. So if the user tells us, hey, I want like 3, shall I just go on and print it out like 3 times like this? Then we have a U, we have a Y, we have an E. What if the user tells us, hey, I want 20? I don't want to write 20 lines of the same code. So in Python, or in most programming languages, we use this concept of for loop to loop through a list as many times as we want instead of repeating ourselves. So instead of going 3 times inside, so one, take one, print it out, then go through the one, print it out. Instead of doing this, we write a program that tells Python, hey, I want you to go through this list 3 times, and each time I want you to pick one random choice. Now, how do we do that? Okay, let's see. So we write a for loop, so we say start with for. Then we for what? For item, for whatever, it doesn't matter what name we choose. So let's say for item in one, in what exactly? In what range? So if I say for item in S letters, it means for all of them. But I want to say, hey, I want to go through this 3 times. So for items in range, so I specify a range from 1, for example, to 5. I want you to do this action that I tell you. I want you to, let's say, print, yes, something like that. Remember, there should be an indentation. There is a tab here. Okay, now let's see what happens here. Let's print this out. Look, we have printed out some random choice 5 times. So this is how it works. Python goes through this and says, okay, from 1 to, but not including 5. So the first time goes here, I want you to choose a random choice and print it. Okay, I will do this. Now goes again, and I say, oh, okay, I still have 3 more to go. So number 2, second one, the third one, and the fourth one. So you see, when you say I want something between 1 and 5, it means 1 up to, but not including 5. So practically it's 4 times. Now, we don't want to tell Python, hey, 5 or 6, because we don't know how many times the user wants to do that. So maybe the user tells us, I want 6 small case letters. What then? So we go to whatever number the user tells us, which is this, instead of 5. And remember, 5 means actually 4, right? So from 1 to 5 means actually 4 times. So whatever the user tells us, what if the user tells us 5? So, can you guess? It doesn't mean that we'll get 5, we'll get 4. That is why we should always add 1 to whatever user tells us. So if it's a 5, the user wants 5, we should say, hey, 1 to 6 actually now. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is why. Now let's see what happens now. So if the user tells us something, and what happens? Let's run the program. How many small case letters? Let's say I want 4. And then I press enter. And yes, I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 random letters from this list. How cool is that? Yeah. But the thing is, I don't want them to be stored like this. I want them to be stored like a string, you know, like a one word, let's say. So let's go up here and put a password, and it's empty for now. We want to add to it. Now instead of printing all this, I want to save this information into another variable called ran s letters. So this is going to be random small case letters. Now I'm saving these here, right? And I want to add them to the password. So whenever it chooses something, I want it to be added to a password, but inside the loop. So I would say password plus equals. Plus equals means whatever it is plus this that I'm going to say. Plus what? Plus ran small letters. Now what we have is it goes through this. Now the first time, how many is it? Let's say it says, for example, the user says 5. It's okay, from 1 to 6. I need to go through this 5 times. So it comes here, picks 1, adds it to password, goes again, picks 1, adds it to the password. It does it 5 times. Now if we print password now, what we get is interesting. So how many letters? Let's say 4. Well, this is, oh my, what did I do this here? Oops, yeah, my bad. Okay, should work now. So how many small case letters? Let's say 4. What happened? Oh, S letters. See, these typos, they just, yeah, crazy. Okay, how many small letters? 4 again, come on. Yes, now we have it. So we have V, D, S, X. 4 random letters. So whatever user tells us, we grab that number and we go over the list that many times and pick 1 each time and add it to password. Now you can guess the same can happen to capital letters, numbers, and symbols. It's exactly the same process. So we're going to copy and paste this process. Okay, so I'm going to delete this and just paste the same code, this time for capital letter. You see, I've changed capital letter everywhere, and C letters. So we are going to say the number of letters, capital letters, that the user gives us in the input, that is here. So also let me uncheck this. Yeah. So we are going to say n capital letters. Let's say the user says 4. So we say, okay, 1, 2, 5, which is 4 again. And I want to store each random choice inside this. And I want to add that to the password again. So everything is added to the password one by one. And then we have this. Now if I print out password, so let's say password, let's see what we get. Let's clear this out. And okay, how many small case? Let's say 2 for each actually. Yeah, 2. How many numbers? 2. And how many symbols? Okay, this time 3. Now look at this, awesome. So we have 2 small case letters, 2 capital uppercase letters, 2 numbers, and 3 symbols. Isn't it awesome? It is. But it's not finished yet. Why? Because look at this. It's just all in one order, so it's following another. You know, I want, for example, if I say I want two small case letters, I want one of them, for example, to be here, another one to be here. I don't want them to follow an order. So how do we do that? Okay, in order to do that, to shuffle, let's say, a string, that is to change the positions in a random fashion, we need to use a method called random.sample. And what it does is that it samples out some items from this and then puts them in a list. For example, it says, hey, you tell it, I want, for example, you to go through the password, and I want you to sample out 3, let's say, items from this list and put them in from this string and put them in the list. Now, this is how it works. Let me show it to you. So let's just print this out. Print out. Okay. And also let's print out password just to see what password is. So print password. Okay. Now let's go through it again. So let's just go 2, 2, 2, and 2. Now we have these 2 of everything and 2 symbols, but here we have 3 samples out of this. So we have Y, a 4, and a J, right? See, J, 4, and Y. So this has randomly selected 3 items from this and put them in a list. Okay, but we don't want 3 or 4 because we don't know how many letters or characters the user asks us to. So we should tell it that, hey, whatever the length of the password is, I want that number. So for example, what is the length of this password? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. So I want to tell it, hey, I want 8 items. So I want all of them, basically, in a shuffled way. So let's just do that. How do we find out the length? By using length function. So len and password. So this gives us back a number, which is the length of the password. So whatever password length is, we want all of it to be sampled out in a random way and put into an array, right? Let's do this out again. 2, 3, 2, 3. This is how it works. So this is our string, and this is our random list. So now we have everything in a random way. Now, but this is a list. I don't want a list, right? I want something like this, a string. So how can we join these items together so that it becomes a string and not a list? Well, join, right? So that is how it works. So let's just say that, let's just first of all save and store this information in a variable. Let's call it pass1, for example. And so pass1 is, so this is pass1. Now I want to stick them together, right? Join them together. That's why I need to, final pass is going to be join pass1, but it doesn't work like that. But wait, so we need to say we have this pass1 and we want to join all the items in pass1, but Python wants to know how do we want to join them. Do we want to join them using a comma or some space or some dashes or some whatever letter in between them? That's why we need to specify, not there, here, that Python, dear Python, we want you to join all these items together without anything between them, just like these, just like these. Now let's see how this works. So we need to print out final pass. Okay, so let's print out the password first, and then the random one, that is final pass. So final pass. Okay, let's see how it works. So how many? Okay, two. Awesome, look at this. So this is in order: small, capital, number, symbols. But this one, there's a symbol, and then there's number, small, and then number again. It's worked. Yeah, okay, that's cool. But one point, so here I can just simply say, hey, I want, I don't know, like 2 or 3 dashes in between every item. This still works. Well, it would not be a password anyway, but it still works. So let me show you how it works. See? So now we've joined the items in the list using 3 hyphens. So this can also work like that. Okay. Now let's polish it up a bit. I don't want just to print out the password, but a message. So I use f-string because I want to include variables as well as some text here. So I would say that here is your password, and I want to go to a new line. That's why I should say \n. It takes the user to a new line. Okay, let's try it out again. So, how many small case letters? 5. Capital? Yeah, 2. Numbers? 3. And symbols? 4. So this is a previous password that we can delete anyways. Here is your password, and this is our strong password. Well, I hope you liked it. I did. And yeah, thank you for listening and watching.